Hello everybody, it's John Hope Bryant. I'm founder, chairman, and chief executive officer of Operation Hope, America's first nonprofit financial services network for the poor, the underserved, and the struggling middle class. I'm also author of How the Poor Can Save Capitalism, Rebuilding the Path to the Middle Class. But today I'm just here to give extraordinary commendations. I just got off the phone with my friends at the Treasury Department. If you are just logging in, please put your comments down below and I will answer them either now or after my next meeting. This just came up, so I wanted to share this with you. For those of you who don't know it yet, anybody who doesn't believe civil rights is real and that we're sitting in a moment in history. Today, for the first time in history, a black woman, a black person and a woman, the first woman, has now been entered in and on our U.S. currency. Miss Harriet Tubman will join leaders and mostly presidents and statesmen, all men, in all of our history. Harriet Tubman will now enter the annals of history as the first woman and the first black woman to be on a $20 bill. So bills used to buy her as a slave now will be adorned by her in honor of her freedom, in honor of her contributions, in honor of her sacrifices. And because there are so many $20 bills in circulation in the country and in the world today, and that figure in some ways is incalculable, it could be said that the contribution of Harriet Tubman is now incalculable. We can't afford to write a check for the debt that she paid to help set us free. And appropriately so, you probably can't calculate the value of Harriet Tubman being on a $20 bill. There are so many in circulation, have been in circulation since she was on the face of this earth in the 1800s until her death in the early 1900s. But we will remember her forever. I want to thank and commend my friend, Secretary of the Treasury, Jack Lew. Man, you're a bad brother. I thought that God was using you once when we got together and you listened patiently as I told you the story of the Freedmen's Bank and those who toiled in the fields of injustice and who gave their life as slaves to build this country for free, who got nothing for it but grief, but then put their confidence in the government again to put their money in a Freedmen's Bank. And that bank had more than $52 million in assets at its height. 73,000 former slaves put every dollar they had in that bank, basically $100 billion today. And Frederick Douglass tried to run that bank. Lincoln signed it in the law, but that was all lost to history. And I asked you to consider renaming the Treasury Annex building across from the White House where the bank was located, the Freedmen's Bank building. And you did it. I thought that maybe you were just having a day, a moment. Maybe I caught you on a good swing of public service. I didn't realize that you truly are a positive revolutionary leader of change. I didn't realize you're probably the best Secretary of the Treasury since Alexander Hamilton aspirationally. There's nothing more aspirational that has been done than the creation of the Freedmen's Bank building, now change the name across from the White House forever. And now you have hit it out the park, and I understand other things are coming, by renaming the $20 bill in honor of Harriet Tubman. Now let me tell you all very quickly the incredible story of Harriet Tubman. I want you to send letters to Secretary Jack Lew and commend him for doing this. This is truly extraordinary, and he didn't have to do it. This is truly just a good man. He's got no agenda. I mean, it's easier for him to keep his head low and just do his job and leave the economy in a good place, and no one would mess with him or criticize him. But yet he decides to be extraordinary, to reimagine everything, and to fight not just for economic sustainability, but for freedom and justice and dignity for all. And for that, he deserves special kudos. Harriet Tubman, and I want to commend Gene Sperling, who after the rename of the Freedmen's Bank sent me a note, said, John, we should fight now for Harriet Tubman to be on the, I think he said at that point, it might have been the $10 bill. I said, Gene, my middle name is Hope, and I still think that's crazy. I didn't realize Gene was already working this and other people were working this, and I put my vote in, but I didn't frankly think it was going to go anywhere. I couldn't be more pleased and honored today. Let me tell you a little bit about Harriet Tubman so you know how special this is. Harriet Tubman was a bad sister. She was born in Maryland as a slave, or born into slavery. And she was hit in the head with a metal piece, a metal object, as a slave owner was trying to hit somebody else and hit her by accident. She had all kind of migraine headaches and could have been just sort of given up on life and gotten depressed. She didn't. She thought that now the images she had coming from this head injury was images from God. And she always turned her negatives into a positive. The slave owner tried to sell her, and because of their injuries and her sickness, she was hard to sell. She kept praying, please don't let this guy sell me. And people would show up, and sure enough, she wouldn't sell. And so finally she said, Lord, if you can't get this guy to not sell me, then I hate to say this, but please strike him dead. Well, he died a week later. She later on regretted, she said, asking God to strike him dead, that she realized there was a purpose in all things, including her pain. But that then, when she realized that the owner of his wife was going to sell her anyway, she escaped. And realizing that she had to fight for other people's freedom, she then had over a dozen expeditions. We now call it the Underground Railroad. And she set 70 slaves free with that. She became the first black woman ever when she joined the Union Army to support freedom during the Civil War. She was the only black woman, the first black woman, to lead an expedition for the U.S. Army, where she worked for them as a nurse and a cook. And she, through that expedition, helped to set 700 slaves free. I said this in a former video, I'm going to say this now. She once said, when they commended her for saving so many slaves, she said, thank you very much, but I would have saved many more slaves if they'd only known that they were slaves. And in that way, this movement continues today. She did her job, right? And when she got older, she retired to a home that she owned. Hello, former slave, went and purchased her own home, right? Found a way around it, over it, through it, got to it, and purchased her own home. She retired to her own home, and then when she became ill later in her life, retired to a living facility that she created for other elderly people. She never complained. She never gave up. She never gave in. She never acted like a victim. She never said, oh, all this racism and all this stuff will devastate me and I can't do anything. We have so many rights today and we take it all for granted. We don't have any comparison to the pain she went through, and still she made it through. Rainbows only follow storms, folks. You cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. You cannot grow without legitimate suffering. So don't let anybody tell you what you cannot do, and never give up and never give in to anything or anyone. And I want women here to understand the powerful story of Harriet Tubman. I want you to sit down with your daughters and read a little bit about her background and share this message. And every time now you see a $20 bill, you're going to get a bit of a history lesson. And this should give you hope that this journey is not over and our work is not done. And we've got to honor Harriet Tubman and Dr. King and all the heroes and sheroes that came after her, including Dr. Dorothy Height, who told me once, John, I love you. I believe in you because you're a dreamer with a shovel in your hands. We all have to be dreamers, folks, with a shovel in our hands. God bless you, Harriet Tubman. I heard that the descendants of Harriet Tubman heard about this news and just fell out with tears of joy. I am just so heartwarmed by this announcement by the Treasury Department. I want to commend the team at the Treasury Department, Myas and Garrity and Laura Richardson, the Deputy Chief of Staff, and Melissa Corday, and all the heroes and sheroes that are there. But most of all, of course, President of the United States, Barack Obama, with whom, without giving him credit, none of this would be possible. I want to commend him and thank him for giving this latitude for folks to do the right thing. But I want to underscore. Secretary Jack Lew, you are my friend. In fact, I'm going to say today, I think Jack Lew, you're so cool, I'm making you an honorary black man. All right, I'm out. Peace and light. Make a great day. Civil rights is real. Civil rights was waged and won in the streets, but civil rights will be waged and won in the suites. As this is a tribute video to Secretary Jack Lew, the administration, and most of all to the legacy of Harriet Tubman. I'm not going to do comments and questions here. I do see them coming in, they're piling in. Please know I will do them post, I promise you, but I want to just leave this sweet and tight. I see everybody signing in. Just allow me to leave this sweet and tight and clean in honor of this queen. Peace and light. I'm out.